Welcome to the Pirate Broadcast, where we interview interesting people doing interesting things, where you can expand your connections, your community. Kindness is cool and smiles are free. And let's get this party started. And it's a great day for the Pirate Broadcast, and I want to welcome you to join us every day, 5 days a week, live streaming on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Periscope, where you have an opportunity to just kind of get in a little bit of slice of interesting people doing interesting things. And I just really appreciate you and the fact that you're here supporting the pirate community. And if I would love the opportunity to have you like and subscribe to some of these channels. Go listen to the podcast if you can't watch live, and understand that we're nearly everywhere. So wherever you like to hang out, I'll be there probably. So, and today is no different. We're hanging out with Jason, and Jason has been through an amazing, challenging past. And I want to talk about mindset and some of the things that we have to deal with as we're going through challenges right now. Jason was wrongly convicted, and he's got a story to tell. And I wanted to interview Jason and understand what it takes to survive and thrive in this environment and get to the next level. Because, you know, it's like sometimes when you're handed something challenging, you have to overcome it. So, Jason, welcome to the Pirate Broadcast. Thank you for being here. You're now officially a pirate. Thank you. So tell us, Jason. I know there's parts of the story that we don't necessarily need to cover today, but I wanted to focus in on the mindset and the ability and the opportunity for you to know that you're in prison, know that you're wrongly convicted, and how you mentally process this and decided to make a choice to get out of it. And kind of walk us through what you had to do in order to accomplish that goal.
All right, yeah. I mean, obviously my case is very long and complicated, so we wouldn't be able to discuss everything like you said.
Sure.
But I mean, obviously when it initially happens, you're almost frazzled and crazy. You don't understand why it's happening. You're confused. I mean, it just throws everything out of whack. You feel like you're in a nightmare, and I've never heard of wrongful convictions before it happened to me. It wasn't something that was common knowledge to people. And so I thought, well, this was only happening to me. And when you're innocent and it first happens, your first thoughts are the justice system will correct itself, right?
Yeah.
It'll work out. You didn't do it. It'll do what it's supposed to do. You'll go home and everything will be okay. But it didn't happen that way.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
the paperwork will catch up with you, right?
Yeah. It's just, you go through the trial thinking, well, not my trial. My trial was terrible. But the whole time you're thinking you'll get there and everything will work itself out, but it doesn't work that way. It takes many, many years. I lost 15 and a half years.
Wow.
And in the beginning, most of it was I was trying to learn how to navigate jail and survive in there. I was trying to figure out what I had to do and what my attorneys could do to, prove my case. And then I had to develop a way to keep my sanity.
Yeah.
And at first I was just angry. I was very upset. I was mad that the cops and the prosecutors were doing this to me, that the state was doing this. I was like, I wanted to scream and to just tear things apart because it was unjust. I hadn't done anything wrong. But that's not enough to carry you through the battle that I had to go through.
Right.
And so along the way, I started to learn about other cases, and I started to realize that this wasn't just me that this was happening to, that this happens a lot more. And that gave me a sense of strength because I understood that there were other people that have gone through what I've gone through, and there was a bigger picture.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I did was I started to adopt a military mindset of, I adopted the words of Patrick Henry, give me liberty or give me death. And I looked at everything through the lens of a war. I was fighting for my life, and this was a war, and the state was my opponent. And I had to build an army, and I had to learn how to fight a war. So I started reading books like The Art of War by Sun Tzu, and books like Caesar's Commentaries, and other various Winston Churchill, various military people that had a lot of knowledge that I could learn from. And I took that information as a way to understand how I could fight my case, especially The Art of War. A lot of good tips in there about how to navigate certain things, business and other things as well. So that's the mindset that I took. And I used it for survival inside as well, in prison and jail, because I looked at everything as I got to be aware of my surroundings. I always wanted to sit in a place where I could see everybody else. I always wanted to take a top bunk because you always should have the high ground. If I went to the showers, I always made sure I was in an area where I wasn't trapped. I could maneuver if I had to maneuver. Go to the yard, you're mindful of everybody else around you, So I did a lot of different things like that to survive and help carry me through the fight. And then I had an extraordinary family that really fought with me, and they were my special forces.
Yeah. I have to imagine that when you're going through that psychologically, it's you have to have resilience and discipline. Discipline is going to bring you through because it's not necessarily going to be an overnight adventure. It's going to take it's going to take its toll at some point. And so where did you dig deep and go for strength when those moments, came across and you're like, hey, I gotta hang on. I gotta get past this moment here. And so how did you define that resilience and search for it when it was not very evident?
Well, there's two things I could think of with that. One is, I never realized I could handle what happened to me. Before I got locked up, I was not a saint. I lived very much a rock and roll lifestyle. I partied a lot, drank, I used drugs, things I shouldn't have done, but I did. And so I never really had that fighting spirit, that drive. But when I got locked up, it was a sink or swim kind of moment in life. You're smacked in the face with some serious reality, and it's like, you can just give up or you can fight, you can survive. And I think that primal instinct to survive woke something up in me. And then I had, like I said, I had a wonderful source of strength from my family. We helped each other. We fed off of each other's strength. If I was having a tough time, I would call my mom or my grandmother or somebody, and they would encourage me. I would get strength from them. And then if they were having a hard time, they would get strength from me. And we used that to build each other up to keep fighting. And so that was a big source of it. And then, I'm not dogmatic in any way, but I do have a spiritual side that I developed as well.
Sure.
And that helped me. So.
It's amazing to me that, there have been times in my life where it was really challenging. It's like when I fell and, shattered my arm, and I was in both legs and both arms were in traction or casts or bandaged up in some way, and you feel completely helpless, and you're like, I need help. You're vulnerable, and that it's not necessarily something that you're able to do on your own. And that's what really, you have to build a community around that, and you have to have other sources of strength. And I think that friends and family and people that care about you and people that care about your situation are the ones that need to show up at that point in time, or any circumstance, especially in COVID, I talked a lot about on this show that this idea of reaching out to other people, because you don't know where people are. You don't know how fragile their circumstance or their mindset is. And so having that strength, and the reason I talk about it and the reason I wanted to ask you about it is because, you had nowhere to go. You had dangerous situations around you, and you still had to survive, and you still had to, work day to day to, read and educate yourself on what was necessary and work with your team to be able to find out what could be done next. And I'm sure that it was a long battle that was draining at times.
But it was mostly my family that was there, because most of my friends basically abandoned me. They didn't want nothing to do with any of this. You know, it scares people.
Yeah.
Right? They don't know what's real or what's not. You know, cops tell them, hey, your friend was a murderer. They think, oh, the cop said that, he must be a murderer, you know?
Right.
And so I lost a lot of my case. I told myself, I'm not just going to fight to prove my innocence. I'm also going to work on fighting to strengthen myself physically, mentally, and emotionally, and become a better version of myself as I went through this journey, you know? And part of what I had to do as well is make friends in prison. That was my home. I had to learn how to make friends there and survive there.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's not a lot. I mean, there's some good people there, but there's some bad people there too. And you have to learn how to navigate that world.
Yeah.
But fortunately, I met a lot of really good guys, and there's some stand-up guys. Yeah, they did some bad things, but they were good people that just made some mistakes in their lives.
Right.
You know, and then I met a couple other people that were innocent like myself, you know, so that helped as well, you know, because, you know, we had commonality on things we could talk about, you know. And I met a wonderful friend, Jimmy Soda, who's still fighting after 30 plus years. He's one of the guys that helped me understand the law. I mean, that was critical for me fighting my own case when I didn't have lawyers anymore. You know, because for many years I was my own attorney because we couldn't afford any attorneys at the time. And, you know, that's what you got to do if you want to keep fighting.
Yeah. Well, you have to keep the case active, I would imagine. So.
Yeah.
You know, Jason, you have a couple of fans here. It looks like Angie says, good morning, everyone. She's here. Russ and Jason, two awesome men today. Lorraine, Jason, love Jason. Angie says, Jason definitely knows resilience. So there you go. The scales of justice. Good morning, everyone. Hi, Jason. Hyatt from Houston got in late, unable to stay. Good day, fellow pirates. So it's awesome to see Hyatt. Art of War is a fabulous book. Absolutely. Sometimes we don't realize how much we can handle until we have to go through something hard. That is absolutely positively true. When you have no choice, you can really understand what it takes to get to the next level. So it's
true, but some people don't. I mean, like, I took it as I had to fight for my life, and others do too. But there are some people that just lay down and give up.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, so you have to have something there in the first place. And I just never realized I had that inner strength to do that until this happened to me.
Would you describe it as hope, or would you describe it as conviction, or destiny, or how would you describe that?
I would say a lot of it was hope, but also just conviction, the principle of it.
Yeah.
You know, how dare you destroy my life for something I didn't do? I could not stand by that. And I wouldn't allow that to stand. I was going to fight. And the only way they could keep me in there is if they killed me. Right? That's why I said, give me liberty or give me death. I was going to fight until I was free one way or another.
Yeah.
But I also had hope. Hope had to come in because you can't fight on just anger, and you can't fight on just conviction. You got to have hope that things will turn out, especially when you lose a battle. You know, you lose an appeal, it's deflating. You're like, oh my God, I lost another appeal. And you're not going to lose just one, believe me. You're going to lose many. And so you got to have something that keeps you going through that. And so the strength of my family, having that hope that, you know, we will succeed one day, that gets you through as well. You know, I wish I would have thought about it. I would have dug out one of my poems I wrote when I was first in that was all about how I will prevail. It was like my battle cry. And my friend, every time he read it, he would say that he pictures me on a steed with half my face painted blue and half white saying, freedom! You know? But
no kidding. Well, that's the mindset you have to have too. It's just like, I'm going to get past this. I'm going to get through it. So Jason, Lorraine said, Jason helped me get Julius Jones' address in prison. I sent him a card and got one back too. I've started writing letters to people in prison who are wrongfully convicted. He is my inspiration.
That's
So
awesome. Yeah.
that is fantastic.
Like I said, I try to do what I can. I want to help people. I want to do good things. Part of one of my struggles is I get a lot of DMs from people on social media that want help, and I can't respond to everybody, and I'm not an attorney. So, there's only so much I can do, but I try to do what I can. I try to help where I can, but it does get overwhelming at times because, you want to help everyone and you can't.
Yeah. And I know there are organizations out there that are working towards, wrongful convictions, and people that care, and people that believe that it's, injustice in action. And, people on both sides, there's this idea that, the justice system is always right. And it's not necessarily the case. People make mistakes on both sides of the equation. And I know that there's a lot of things that are, poor judgment, bad decisions, all of those things happen. And so, I can understand how it can happen. It just seems so far-fetched that it's like, how is this even possible? And, being in the wrong place at the wrong time, being, it's like, and you just have to wonder, how does this happen? How can this possibly happen? Right. And so it's,
well, there's also, there's mistakes that are made, and then there's tunnel vision and stuff like that. But there's also deliberate actions to railroad people that takes place as well. And that's the saddest part,
Yeah, close a case.
Yeah, it's sad when you have people that we have placed in authority, that we trust to uphold the laws, break those laws and harm innocent people, and that's, you expect more from police and prosecutors and judges, but they're people too. And so sometimes you get some bad ones in there, and they can do some really bad things to other people. Especially my case was in Illinois, and there's a lot of stories that come out of Illinois about some really, really bad police officers that have done things up there, especially in Chicago.
Yeah.
They had stories about a group of police officers that had a black site where they would take suspects there and physically torture them. They would electrocute them and beat them and stick guns in their mouths, and to get them to confess to crimes. And I think society kind of gets softened to some of this stuff because we watch Law and Order and all these shows, and they get this mindset that, oh, well, as long as it's a bad guy, we don't care how they treat him. But
right.
What if it's not a bad guy?
Yeah.
I mean, they shouldn't be treated that way, bad or not, but what if it's not that bad guy? What if it's an innocent person that's happening to?
Yeah.
And we don't see that enough in media, what I'm saying, as far as television shows and movies. So people don't think about that as much in that aspect. But now, thankfully, we're seeing a little bit more. DNA has really opened up things where people are starting to understand that this happens. But it's still an uphill battle for us. There's a lot of people that don't know about it, don't think about it. It doesn't impact them immediately, so we're still having to inform people and wake people up.
Yeah. Well, I have noticed in the last few years more and more cases being released from as a direct result of DNA. So that is a tool that wrongful conviction can be, moved to overturn, and I have to believe that that's a tool that more people need to be aware of and utilize.
Well, the thing with DNA is it's great because it does give you that definitive answer. And it's helped open up the eyes of a lot of people that, because of all the stories that have been coming out. But the other thing is that people need to realize is most cases don't have DNA, and so you have to find other ways to prove those cases. And that is really hard. My case didn't have DNA. The way I proved my case was it came down to forensic pathologists that had reevaluated the original evidence, 3 different forensic pathologists, and they all came to the same conclusion that it wasn't possible. The original medical examiner was wrong in his findings. And all these different groups found the same thing, peer reviewed everything. It just wasn't possible. And so, that makes you wonder, well, how did that happen then? How did this guy get it all wrong? And after I was out, we had some depositions for another case filing. And my attorneys basically told me that this guy was a fraud. He had never gone to medical school. He'd never practiced here legally. He went to some fly-by-night institution in the Dominican Republic that was closed down for fraudulent practices. And he'd been practicing here all this time. And he still practiced. He moved to another state. So,
Wow.
It's things like that you get rogue doctors, or you get people that don't know what they're doing, and they come in and they sit on these cases as experts, and they skew everything, to fit whatever they need to fit.
That's a dangerous thing. Nick says, Pirates, hey brothers, we all make bad decisions at some point in our lives. It's like, yeah, sometimes you do. I've made some bad decisions, and
Yeah. But I've met a lot of guys inside that, so we're some really stand-up people. I mean,
yeah,
just good down to earth people that, I've met some people better in prison than some of the people I know out in the world.
yeah.
I've met some people that are free that are just terrible people.
Yeah.
So,
it's like Angie says, there are some bad people on the outside as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And Hyatt says personal and spiritual strength. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely, Hyatt. Jason, this is a fascinating story, and I would have to believe that, before we jumped on, you were talking about a book and a podcast and possible TV series. I know Wendy's on the panel here. She's like, "Welcome to the Pirate." I'm involved with Wendy right now on a project. Wendy, the Pirate Posse. Welcome to the Pirate Posse, Jason. I found while I was serving time in maximum security prison that there were so many good hearts and loyal hands to help me succeed. Congratulations. Also, innocent people walk differently. I learned to spot my people right away.
Yeah.
And so, there's some good people that, like you said, have made bad decisions, and there are people that have been wrongfully convicted, and because other people made bad decisions.
Yeah.
And so a podcast, a book, a movie, what direction are you going to put your energy into next?
Well, I'm working on all of those, but I really want to get into, I'd like to start owning businesses, not actually operating them, but I'd like to get into learning how to own different companies and just have them under an umbrella that I own and other people run it. But I really want to get into more into film and TV. I've always been a big movie buff, and I love the creative aspects of it. And I've done a little bit of stuff. I've created a short documentary. I've done a local cable access music show. I was a consultant on the Fox television show, Proven Innocent. And I'm currently working on a TV show I did with a friend out in Jersey. Might do some acting with my friend David Elliott, who wrote Four Brothers, was also the creator of Proven Innocent. So I'm trying to work my way into those areas of Hollywood and TV and all that stuff.
Very cool. Very cool. I love that. It's like hope is the thing they try to take away. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hope is a good thing. What was Andy Dufresne? Hope is a good thing, perhaps the best of things, right?
Yes. Be strong. Be Jason Strong.
Yeah.
And Angie says the justice system is terribly broken.
Absolutely. Yeah. A lot of work.
Lorraine says,
a lot of lives destroyed.
You have some fans here. Angie Schumann, you mean the injustice system?
Well, that's what I called my my short documentary that I made.
Was it really?
System. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Lorraine says Wisconsin is really bad too. So
yeah. Well, ironically, so when I got locked up, my case was for a Jane Doe. They didn't know who the victim was. And there was another case in Wisconsin, in Racine, Wisconsin, they had a Jane Doe up there too, and they thought the two were connected. So when I first got arrested for this one, the Racine people came down and interrogated me too. And for many, many years, I was their #1 suspect up there. They just didn't pursue anything because I was already locked up in Illinois. But once my case started to fall apart in Illinois, they realized, okay, this isn't our guy. Yeah. And they eventually solved their case. So that was really good. But unfortunately, the case for me is the family and the victim will never get real justice. They're not going to pursue the people that we believe were actually responsible. So,
oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but sometimes that actually is the case. You know, a case gets so old that it's hard to then prove what really happened. You know, evidence disappears, people die, things like that happen, and then it makes it harder. So of the people that we suspect committed the crime, we believe it was 3 people. 2 of those people, one of them's dead and the other one is in a mental institution. So there's only 1 left, and that person could easily say it was the other people, and right. Nobody's going to pursue it anyway. So it's kind of a dead issue, unfortunately.
Well, that's too bad.
Yeah.
That's too bad that, you know, families can't get justice. Yeah. Angie says, you know, music as well. So
I love music. I'm a big music guy. Yeah. I like everything from Beethoven to Slipknot. If I can get into it, I like it. I like jazz.
Wherever you blues, find your groove, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think music's beautiful in various forms. I love all kinds of music.
I feel the same way. It's absolutely there. Vivek says you could share your link in your video. Can you share the link of your video? Can you share?
Yeah. Well, right now, if you go to so it's on my friend's YouTube station called Worst Media.
Worst Media?
Yeah, if you go on there, all the sound check episodes and the Injustice System, those are all mine.
Maybe if somebody could type that in, it would be wonderful if somebody could type it in.
I don't know how to do that.
No, somebody in the chat. Okay. When justice is not subjective, just to fit someone's agenda, yeah. Wendy says.
Yeah.
Evidence in Wisconsin is either disappeared or fabricated.
Yeah,
Worst Media. Yeah, Worst Media.
Yeah, they're good at that. There was a piece of evidence there was a tape that I was wanting to get when I was fighting my case, that when they finally, after many years of them saying they didn't have it, they finally turned it over. It was really bad quality. You couldn't understand anything. And then years later, when they wanted to try to use it for their own spin, they had a perfect quality tape. And I'm like, well, how did that work? How come I didn't get
how did that work? You know? Tracy says she'll add the video to the video notes. So Tracy, thank you so much. I love you. Tracy, the producer, will put it in the show notes and it'll be up on the post. So you can go there, Vivek, and check it out and achieve results there. Jason, I really, this is an amazing story. I'd love to follow you and make sure that, you know, if you get a podcast up, we can help promote it. If you get a book or a program of any kind, you know, we can support you. So anything we do, you know, stay in touch. And now that you're a pirate, you know, you're kind of like follow your theme, brother.
All right, yeah. Well, I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and I just got back onto LinkedIn. So
very good, very good. Well, we will follow you and we will track you down and make sure that you're supported and we can actually help you and assist you in creating your future wherever it happens to lead you. So,
all right. Thank you very much. It was great being on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much. And everyone, you know, there are times and there are challenges we have in our life, and everything that we need to do is in front of us most of the time. And sometimes we just need to make a decision. We need to make a choice and find hope, find the diligence and the, you know, the discipline to make it happen. And sometimes it's a difficult road. However, you know, the best views are traveled after you travel the hardest roads, so don't give up, keep going and take on those challenges and make sure that you're doing what you can to get where you need to be in life. So
yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Jason. Really appreciate you. And as you know, everyone, kindness is cool. Smiles are free. So you enjoy the day. Take care, Jason.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for joining the Pirate Broadcast. If you found this content valuable, please like, comment, and share it across your social media channels. I would love the opportunity to help others grow in their business. The Pirate Syndicate is a platform where you show up, we produce the show. It's that easy. If you want to be seen, be heard, and be talked about, join the Pirate Syndicate today.